Welcome to the Connect with BMC Helix ITSM and Remedy webinar. Today's presentation will be on Smart Reporting 1902 Overview. We have Rahul and Abhijeet that will take us through this content. And at this time, I will hand it over to Rahul.
Thanks, Greg. Today we'll talk about some of the key enhancements that were added to latest smart reporting release. My name is Rahul Vedak and I'm part of DSM Product Management Group at BMC. And in my role of product manager, I'm focused on AR platform, smart reporting, and remedy SSO. Joining with me today is Abhijeet Teli. Abhijeet is part of BMC development team, and you'll find him on communities very actively answering questions around smart reporting. Abhijeet will demo a few of the smart reporting announcement in the later part of this session. Smart Reporting 1902 release is a milestone release for our reporting solution since it was introduced with Remedy 9 few years back. Smart Reporting includes broadly two key components. One is OEM reporting technology that is used for reports, dashboards, various collaboration methods in the reporting context, a wide variety of visualizations, a mobile app for reporting, intuitive report design experience, and so on. And second component of this solution is AR JDBC. That's BMC's proprietary JDBC for extracting data from Remedy ITSM. Well, we have been making incremental progress in these areas almost every release. In 1902, we are making some significant improvements in both areas. One, we upgraded our OEM software to latest release that includes machine learning for reporting among other things, and revamped approach for ARJDBC that will allow you to create complex queries when reading ITSM data. Let's take a quick look at session agenda as what specific topics we will cover today. First, we'll talk about how we are extending cognitive service management machine learning in BMC Helix to reporting with new assisted insight. Then, new way to narrate performance of various metrics or KPIs using blog-like content with new stories. Third, ARJDBC announcement that allows customers to create advanced complex report in smart reporting with supports of database functions. And finally, some streamlined administration capability in smart reporting like new simplified wizard-based export-import of smart reporting content across smart reporting servers or tenants or client organizations to be specific. Just to be clear with our messaging, all of these smart reporting capabilities are available to all of our customers, whether in SaaS as Helix ITSM customers or those using Remedy and smart reporting on-prem. In March this year, we had Connect with Remedy webinar session that covered key announcement that BMC delivered in Helix ITSM 1902 release. We covered changes in AR server, CMDB, smart reporting, smart IT, ITSM applications, Remedy SSO in brief then. Recording of this webinar is available on communities for anyone interested. One of the most impactful change in Smart Reporting 1902 release is how we extend our cognitive and machine learning capabilities to reporting tool in Helix ITSM. Here we combine machine learning with human context to generate automated insights such as smart data visualization with their natural language narrative. When user views a report or dashboard in smart reporting, there is a predefined structure to that reporting content so as all users derive common information from the data, charts or combinations presented to them. When there is need for some further analysis of same report to understand why, as what is driving these numbers or trends, user need yet another new report. Smart Reporting Assisted Insight gives user access to some of the information which is not available to user by default. It helps user uncover why portion of the data without spending effort to design new report or dashboard. I have an existing report that shows some preliminary information about incident status for different assigned groups. This report also has some data around business services for incident, but there is barely any information between the business service and incidents that I can derive from the current report design. This is where Smart Reporting Assisted Insight helped me. As I hover over a field for extra few seconds, tooltip now grows to show me an extra option auto analyze, and that's where assisted insights are. This is where the user can select whether they want some explanation as what's happening or users want to compare KPIs for different time intervals for an example. I select explain option on screen. The way this process works is system is now running smart algorithms over top of data, slicing and dicing the data, trying to find what are the metrics or possibly other dimensions that may be related to number of incident in my case. Once Assisted Insight finish running algorithms over top of the data, it displays results in a flyout panel. I see 3 reports presented as insight. These reports are ranked, most useful analysis to top and others below it. Also, smart reporting learns. As you take report useful, it learns as these are the metrics that user is interested in. First one has some correlation between submit date and incident count. I don't see this relevant to what I am looking for, and hence I uncheck and go to the next one. Number of incident by business service. This report seems like the data I am looking for. Let me double click for detail view. This insight has report heading, data visualization, and pairs it with some useful narrative. This insight tells me that my top 3 business services contribute to 70% of the total incident. Also, it has some other statistical metric for number of incident by business service. This insight showed me some interesting data point that I was previously unaware of. This is useful information and I'm going to leave it tick. To share what I just learned, I add comment and these comments are now saved to activity stream of this report. My peers who look at these comments can very easily see insight without need to run them again and also see my viewpoint about these insights. Assisted Insight is all about getting to why faster. With smart reporting, not only you can monitor your key IT and operations metrics effectively, but with Assisted Insight, you can explore causality in your data. There is another flavor to Assisted Insight, which is Assisted Discovery. While most of the interaction remains similar, Assisted Discovery is targeted for reporting analyst persona, and use case here is providing similar insight at report design time. What we saw in previous demo was Assisted Insight, which is at report runtime. So any user running a report gets that new option for additional insight based on the machine learning. Assisted discovery comes in picture while reporting analyst or any other user with report design rights is building a new report. So as an example, I'm building a new report. I'm into incident management view and I've already dragged few fields on the canvas. And here you can see this new icon for analysis. It asks me what I want to do here. So I'll say that I want to explain metric for number of incident and run this insight. And it offers me few insight here as a flyout panel on the right side of the screen. Similar to report runtime, even this time machine learning uncovers some trends in data that is not obvious or visible to me as a report designer. Report designer can use this insight in their report or discard it and continue to build own report. One more thing related to assisted insight or assisted discovery is how you enable this. Essentially, you enable this by modifying your existing view, and this is one-time change that you would do once you upgrade to 1902 release. I'm going to edit this incident management view to begin with. I move to Prepare tab. And here you will find a new icon to set up assisted insight. First, I'll select my unique row identifier, which I'm going to select as incident ID. And then primary date field, I'll go with submit date. I'm going to select date period as day, which is most relevant for our data. And then the date range as 2 years of data. And then it asks me for a couple of more variables I can use. There are up to 12 variables I can use. So I go ahead and pick those from this list. I'll go ahead and save this changes to my incident management view and go ahead and publish it. Just to be clear, this capability about assisted insight or assisted discovery is coming from our reporting OEM technology. which in other words means that this is not technically related or dependent on IBM Watson that BMC use for other cognitive use cases like chatbot or ticket classification remedy. Any remedy customers using Smart Reporting 1902 or higher can use Assisted Insight on-prem or in Helix without needing BMC Helix Cognitive Service. So let's talk about the second significant enhancement to Smart Reporting, and that is Story. As you know, something unique about Smart Reporting is various collaboration option it offers in the context of a report or dashboard. A storyboard is one such existing feature. Just in case you're not familiar with storyboard, a quick pitch for storyboard is smart reporting storyboard is interactive presentation technique with PowerPoint like format, but it has a dynamic real-time reporting embedded in it. Story is another new way that comes in 1902 release by which users can share and have a dialogue about their business metrics, provide external context that happens outside of their data, and then add human narrative without the need for external tools such as email or third-party documents. Stories merge visual analysis with text in a collaborative environment by including report, images, videos with text. The simple UI enables users to tell a story much as you would do by writing a blog post with ease. So here is my story for demo today. I work as a service desk manager and I was introduced to Remedy Smart IT recently. To validate various benefits of using Smart IT UI, we did a POC, Smart IT POC in one of our service desks that I manage, and I continue to use existing Remedy UI for other service desks. At the end of POC, I'm very excited to share POC results, and I decide to use Smart Reporting Story for the purpose. So let's see how it goes, where I will author a story in Smart Reporting and share it with others. So getting started with stories is very similar to creating any other content. You will see a new option as story. So let me select that option. When you select story option, you essentially get canvas and the first thing you would do is add header image that suits your story. Let me pick one for user experience, which is theme of my story. Next logical thing is to write appropriate title for my story. So I'll go ahead and add a title that's around UX and productivity with Remedy with Smart IT. In next section, I add some context to my POC result. First, I'll talk about industry results or what academicians have published around productivity improvements with nice intuitive UI. So I add links to articles from Wharton, HBR, and others here. Add another section separator here, and then I start with what we did with POC. I write about what I have done, and the next thing what I go about is adding a report. So this is where all of the smart reporting content is available, both reports and dashboard, and I can add it from here. Let me select one report and embed it in my story. When others read my story, this report is available to them in full interactive fashion with all the real-time data. In other words, this is not a simple image that get embedded unless there is a case for you to add a snapshot of a report that is a point in time data. I've added this data, but I also want to highlight key achievements from this POC. So I go ahead and use some text highlighter here. And before I conclude my story here, I will also add some references to Smart IT videos so that audience of my story can go and familiarize themselves with Remedy with Smart IT by watching those videos. I'm almost done with defining my story here, and I'm going to publish it as well as share it with my team and leadership. So let me first save it and then share it with Alan and Daniel here. So that's how my story looks like. One key thing to highlight here is story capability has knowledge management aspect. And when I say knowledge management here, I'm referring to general management discipline of organization knowledge management and not ITSM context for knowledge management. The knowledge pyramid talks about three layers: data, information, and knowledge at the top. Data in our case is typically all ticket related data. Information, which is based on this data, can be broadly aligned to reporting on the ITSM data, like various reports, dashboard for ticket status, SLA performance metric, productivity metric for staff, and so on. But knowledge is one key difference in our reporting where I'm not just sending that report or information to my leadership or peers on email and then I'm letting them interpret this information. But I'm going a step further and sharing knowledge of how good UX and deep user engagement is positively impacting productivity of my staff. And in that process, I also give context to my result by embedding relevant external links, providing report which are fully interactive. They can drill down and get to specifics, as well suggest next steps or some action for my team. So this way, I'm very effective in my role by sharing knowledge in my organization than just sharing information. Hopefully that resonates with you and you can use this knowledge pyramid in your organization as how smart reporting stories support it. Now let's get started with advanced query capabilities in AR JDBC. This enhancement is very useful for customers who have already started with smart reporting and now look for more mature use cases that require creating advanced complex report. One challenge these customers faced was limited number of functions that AR JDBC supported. As you know, in the backend, Smart Reporting uses AR JDBC to extract data from underlying remedy database. Advantages of using AR JDBC are consistent permission model for ticket data, localization, and so on. But on the other end, our proprietary AR JDBC has uh, less set of functions, as in the database function that's supported. So in 1902 release, we have provided mechanism for customers to use native database functions of SQL Server or Oracle in combination with ARJDBC. There is a specific syntax that users need to follow to achieve this. Let's see how that can be done. So in this example, I'm creating a report for incident management. I go to report designer. I'll start with creating custom field here. So the first custom field, I'm selecting this option as Freehand SQL and I name this as year submit date. And you can see here the syntax for this particular calculated field. So dbfn that you see is the syntax that you need to add so that ARJDBC understand that this is where a database function will be used. So dbfn followed by date part, that's a SQL Server function, and then those 4y indicate I want year in 4-digit format, and the third parameter is submit date. I'll quickly validate this and now go ahead and save it. So I've added one calculated field and let me go ahead and add another calculated field here. The second calculated field, similar to the previous one, the formula type here is Freehand SQL. I'm going to extract week of the year from the submit date. I go ahead and add Freehand SQL query here, dbfn same date part field, but instead of year, I'm taking week of the year from this date for the same submit date field. Again, let me validate this and go ahead and save this. Now let me add a new report here. So I'll add incident ID and submit date and those two new fields. And as I refresh this report, we'll see some data for the new calculated fields here. So as you can see here, in the third column, year submit date has extracted year 2014 for the first record, and the week of the year that corresponds to 17 January, that's the third week of the year. So this is where we use database function, in this particular case, datepart function from SQL Server, and use those in our report calculation. This is going to be particularly useful when customers are creating complex report in smart reporting, or typically when customers are migrating from SAP BO based analytics to smart reporting. One more thing, while I showcase freehand SQL approach for leveraging database functions in AR JDBC, Abhijeet will demo another way for using database functions in AR JDBC, that's advanced authoring. So Abhijeet, over to you.
Thank you, Rahul. So in continuation with the topic that Rahul is demonstrating, expanded query capabilities in AR JDBC driver. So as Rahul already explained, we can use now freehand SQL calculated field in report to leverage all those underlying RDBMS function. But when you have a relatively simple requirement to use any RDBMS function, you can use freehand SQL builder. But when the report requirement comes with relatively, the complex usage of complex database function with a multi-part, then we cannot use those freehand SQL calculate field because it has limited set of limited set of capabilities, and it can only be used for simple and very basic use cases. So for the advanced use cases, just like an example of MS SQL advanced analytical function like ranking or dense rank, like or n-tile. And when it comes to the Oracle, we have functions called as lead and lag. So these kind of functions have multiple parts in its syntax, and those can be achieved using advanced authoring or the freehand SQL report. So in order to create that report, so when you click on create new report in 1902 smart reporting version, you can see a new option will be available at the top, which is called as advanced authoring. So difference between advanced authoring or the freehand SQL report and the semantic layer or the view-based report is the semantic layers has set of underlying schema is already defined. We have set of forms and we have set of fields defined. We have entity relationship diagram defined, and then when we create a report, all the joins and SQL generation will be taken care by the reporting engine. But in case of advanced authoring, the report writer now has the capability to write their own SQL. So this is quite flexible option for the report writer, where they can create the report as per their requirement, and they can mold the SQL whenever it is required. So that's what the freehand SQL report writer is, right? So when we select that option, we can create new analysis or create new report. Okay, so in terms of user interaction, there is only few differences you can see. That the SQL tab is at the first, and the data chart design, these are common steps or common sections for all the smart reporting reports. In the freehand SQL report, you have this box available here where you can write your own SQL. And just to keep in mind that the SQL needs to be AR JDBC compliant SQL. What do I mean by that is the AR JDBC or the smart reporting connects to AR platform, and AR platform connects to database. Likely, the normal reporting tools connect to database directly and we interact with the data. But in case of smart reporting, we interact with AR forms, and that's when the AR JDBC compliant SQL comes into picture. So in the interest of time, I already created one SQL for this, and I have used MS SQL rank function with this. So this is pretty simple example I just took. It has three fields. One is the assignee from the SPD helpdesk form, then the number of incidents, which is a count of incident number, and the third field is the DBFN or the RDBMS function, which calculates the ranks for those assignees. Okay, and so when you talk about the AR JDBC compliance SQL, so all the form names and field names needs to be enclosed in backtick symbol, and the syntax for this is a case sensitive, so you need to also look for the capitalization. So you need to define those forms and fields the way they are defined in the AR forms when you are developing that in Dev Studio. So that's the only two things are important when you write the AR JDBC compliant SQL. Rest of the things or rest of the syntax and the operators are pretty much common across. Okay, so I'll just copy this SQL and I'll go back to my smart reporting instance. You can paste that SQL, you can write your own syntax or own conditions here as per requirement. So let me validate this. So it will check the syntax from the AR JDBC, and if it is correct, there is no syntax error, then it will say SQL is valid. So you can see the message that SQL is valid. Now you can save this. So once you save this, the text box will be grayed out. You cannot make any further modification. In order to do that, you need to edit that entire SQL again. Okay, so as I said, it will be grayed out. So now you cannot do any modification here. In case of modification, you need to edit that SQL again. So that's the only difference between the View SQL Builder and the Freehand SQL Builder. So SQL generation part will be taken care by the report engine in case of normal drag and drop report, and in case of Freehand SQL report, that the report designer or report writer needs to write that SQL. Okay, so I'll go to the data step, and rest of the steps and all the formatting options, those are pretty much available as usual for this report as well. Okay, so when you refresh that report and you just see the SQL, that exact same SQL will be executed against it. Okay, so that's all about advanced authoring and Freehand SQL report, where you can achieve relatively complex use cases like the where clause with the select statement, or the multiple calculated field with arithmetic operation, etc., etc. So let me go back to the slide deck and continue the further presentation. So moving ahead, the next is smart reporting, import and export. Right, so it has been completely simplified and optimized in this 1902 smart reporting version. So import and export is typically used for migrating content from one environment to another environment, like Dev to QA and QA to prod. This capability is already available in previous smart reporting versions, but with the upgrade of underlying OEM technology, we have now brand new user interface for import export mechanism. Also, it contains a few improvements and additional capabilities. The improvements in terms of performance, scalability, and ease of use. So let me go back to the smart reporting instance, and I'll quickly demonstrate the new capabilities that are available in import export. So first I'll cover the export part. So exporting means you are exporting contents out of your smart reporting instance into the external file format. Okay. So as you can see, it's a brand new user interface for the user in order to the UI navigation and UI placements. So at the top, we have a quick summary section where we can see the last export date and couple of metrics that shows the specific number for the specific import. In terms of searching, so you can see in the left side pane, we have this number of contents available in your current smart reporting instance, and you can also search by specific content type. In advance, we have some further filters to filter out the data or the filter out the availability of content. And again, this is one of the brand new capability available in this release. Is now we can do the normal search from here. Also, it has option available called as history. So history means The number of imports and export happened in this environment before, those are saved as history. And if you are doing something which you already done in the past, you can simply select that specific historical instance, and that can be re-exported again without doing all the steps all over again. And the third one is pretty useful, which is called as templates. So templates are normally useful in case of if you're doing some periodical backup from dev to QA or QA to prod, then you don't need to define all those contents all over again. You can simply save that specific export list as a template. And when you're trying to export that, you can just simply select that template, and all your contents with the specific setting will be available in your export list. Okay, so for this specific demo, I'll just go with the normal search. So let's say I have created some new reports in here. So we can just select the folder in which you have stored your content, and you can select the contents, right? So let me just quickly pull one or two reports. Okay, so in this pane, you need to drag those reports for your export. You can see that it will create a table kind of format when you are pulling those report to be exported, and it has a linked content. So this is one of the major enhancements that underlying technology has done to handle the dependencies of exported file. So you don't need to manually add any dependency when you're exporting something. You can simply drag those content, and system will automatically calculate all those dependent objects or all those dependency for this specific report or dashboard, and it will add by itself. So when you click on that specific content, you can see these many linked contents are there for this specific report. Okay, and similarly for this. So the dependency management is pretty improved in this import export mechanism, and that's when there are very less chances for the import failure. Okay, so when you export this, when you click on export, once you are done with the list of reports and dashboard to be exported, when you click on export, you can provide the file name, and here is the template capability that as I was mentioning earlier. So you have now option to save this as a template. So these two reports I already selected, and I can, if I turn this on, I can provide some template name like CSAT template, and it will store as a CSAT template. And next time if you want to repeat the exact same process, or if you want to export the same content again, you can just simply go to the search and select templates. You will see the CSAT template, and you can select that option. Okay, so this is how the export user interface is. Now let me quickly cover the import part. Okay, so for the export, the import is expecting already exported file. So in earlier versions, if you remember, so the Yellowfin import export used to generate the file in .xml format with the extension of .xml, but in 1902 onwards, you can see that the file will be exported in .yfx format, which is the underlying technology proprietary extension. So you can either drag your XML or YFX file in this box, or you can select and you can use the Windows navigator to select that. So I already created one sample file here, custom content.yfx. So it will render the contents and it will load those content, and we have the further options available. So we have a couple of options here. The restore is partial import. The restore is it will if the contents are already available in your target or destination server, it will just restore them. Or you have the custom option where you have the flexibility to select what items to import, or what are the changes you need to define it there. Okay, so you can just click on continue here. And in the left side pane, you can see the available contents from the file, and you can select those options. So let's say I have created this country-wise ticket volume top 10 report. Okay, so I can just drag this into this pane, and as you can see, it will validate couple of, it will perform some validation under behind the scene, and it will generate some of the alerts, right? So when I'm dragging this report, it shows me there are some errors, and when you hover on that specific explanation mark, you can see that this report is missing a view and this report is missing as a folder. So there are a couple of dependencies that we did not pull from the file, and we want to use the existing one. So in that case, you need to resolve those dependencies manually. Okay, so you have this option, add or replace existing. So I'm going with the add option, and then we can select a folder, IT executive dashboard, and then the view, right? So when you drag this, it will just list down all the available views from the file. And there is another option, match linked content. So match linked content is nothing but it will try to look for the specific view, the connected view for this report by its name and by the system generated GUID. So when you click on it, it will automatically populate that incident management. Okay, now my dependencies are resolved. I don't have any other warning or any other errors available. So with this, I can just click on import, and it will import that specific report in my environment. So this is the new brand new user interface and improved simplified import export mechanism available with the Smart Reporting 19.02 release. So let me go back to slide deck. And with this, I'll end my demonstration. I'll pass the control back to Rahul for further summarization. Over to you, Rahul.
Thanks, Abhijeet. And here is last slide that has links to various BMC documentation wiki pages for various features that we saw today.
Thank you, Rahul and Abhijeet. Now I will take us through the closing, some self-help in contacting BMC. Our videos as well as this webinar recording are available via our YouTube channel. Once this information is posted, it is reflected in our Connect with BMC Helix ITSM and Remedy schedule, available at this communities link, as well as the product support pages that contain different videos, documentation, knowledge articles, combined based on product component. A very useful resource available 24/7. And as always, our technical support methods of contact via web, phone, and email, as well as the social channels as well. Thank you.